Hi folks, and welcome to another episode of Motovloggers Unplugged. This week we have Stevie, better known as Soggy Baws Moto, and a new set of questions tonight just for this one episode and a bit of an exclusive. So let's go and meet him. Stevie, how you doing, mate? Great to have you here.
Very good, Graham. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. This is going to be an extra special one, I think. So will we just get started?
Aye, please, yeah.
Right, let's go for it. First question. Tell us about your YouTube channel. What's it about? How would you describe it?
Right, okay, so it's called Soggy Baws Moto because when I first started doing the YouTube, I was out in the rain all the time, constantly getting soaked, so that's where Soggy Baws comes from.
Every biker in the world will know what that's about.
It usually gets a chuckle. Um, it's been a mix of, initially it was just ride outs and tours that I was involved in. And then I started doing a few technical how-to tutorials.
Yep.
But I kind of got hooked into storytelling. I like to come up with wee ideas for telling stories about the community and
Yeah.
experiences that I had buying bikes, and
Yep.
even my bike. The couple of bike reviews that I've done have been really in depth and have been story based. So but that's what it's about
Yeah,
so
brilliant,
far.
mate. Brilliant. Question 2. You have a huge plan for this year. Can you tell us what it is?
I can, and it's an exclusive for your channel. So I
Woohoo.
haven't been I haven't been talking publicly about this. A, a few people have been a few people are in the loop, but yeah. So I've just been made redundant from my employment of 18 years,
Yep.
and I'm heading off on a round the world motorcycle trip.
Superb, mate. Brilliant.
So aye, the dream.
The dream. Um, Excellent, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing it. That'll be really good, I think. What inspired you to take on such a massive journey?
Well, I've been riding motorbikes since I was 11 years old. I've just turned 51, so that's 40 years on two wheels. The only books you could get me to read when I was a kid were motorbike books, so Ted Simon's Jupiter's Travels and all that sort of stuff. And
Yep.
then in my 20s and 30s, you had the Long Way Round
Yeah.
series of motorcycle films with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman.
Yep.
Um, so it was really just a background in motorcycles. It's the ultimate goal to ride round the world. But if you look at the long way round
Yeah.
product, if you like, you know, a huge budget, huge resources.
Yep.
But if it wasn't for YouTube, I don't think it would be realistic to have those sort of aspirations.
Yeah.
So you've had the rise of itchy boots, and then all the solo motorcycle travellers that have followed her thereafter,
Yeah.
and it just demonstrated that it's a reasonable aspiration for the common man, the common motorcyclist.
Yeah. Nowadays,
So,
definitely.
aye.
Definitely. When do you start the round the world trip?
Right, so I had already booked a ferry from Portsmouth to Santander like last August,
Right.
long before there been any talk of redundancy.
Yeah.
So I was having a wee bit of winter sun. I was heading off on the 6th of February,
Hmm.
and when I was selected for redundancy, myself and my partner Catherine, we were bouncing about options for onward employment,
Yeah.
and she'd said to me, "Why don't you do your round the world trip?" I
Right.
was like,
Okay.
"All right," and I started thinking about it. I was like, "All right, let's do it." And so I figured what I'd do is I would use the ferry that was booked for the 6th of February as my starting point,
Okay.
and that's given me a goal to. So I'm kind of cramming in like 2 years of preparation into
Yeah.
3 months, you know.
Aye.
But if you didn't have a goal, you wouldn't
No.
do anything, would you? You know.
No. So we're talking 6th of February then. It's not
6th of
long.
February. I'll be on a boat on the 6th of February. So if the weather's snowy and windy and rainy, I'll probably leave on the 5th. I'll
Right.
probably leave Glasgow on the 5th. But if the weather's fair and reasonable and there's no storms forecasted, I'll just leave down on the 6th because the ferry's not until 11:30 at night.
All right. Okay. Okay.
So I've got all day to ride down to Portsmouth. It's 450 miles or something like that. So
How long does the ferry take? Is that quite a while or?
it's like 36 hours or something like that.
Right. Okay.
You're 2 nights accommodation on the boat.
Right. Well, at least there's accommodation. That's the main thing,
Aye,
isn't it?
aye.
Aye.
Well, I booked it super early, so I got it at a decent rate.
Good. Good. What are the biggest challenges you foresee in terms of logistics and visas, etc.?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, without a doubt, has been the air freight connections. So I've got two oceans to cross on my route. I'll need to cross the Pacific Ocean
Yep.
from South Korea to North America. Uh, and that's proven to be a nightmare. I had a proven contact who regularly does Vancouver to South Korea,
Right.
but for some reason she can't do South Korea to Vancouver.
All right. Okay. That seems weird.
So
Yep.
yeah. And what I'm finding is that going in the other direction, it's about 1.5 times the price, which I wasn't
No.
expecting. So, aye, I've had two or three people drop out on me on that side of things, and
Right.
I've had a couple of different. One of the agents I'm dealing with is asking me to consider shipping instead of air freight, and that doesn't
Mm.
really fit in with my plans. So,
No. How long will that
it's
take shipping it? It would take
well,
quite a lot.
he says 20 days, but it'll be 20 days at sea, and
Yeah.
it'll be 5 days at port, and it'll be 5 days on arrival. And I
Yeah.
just don't. I think the cost of living, waiting for the shipping, would absorb the difference in going for the air freight,
Yeah.
even though the air freight's going to be even more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So that particular connection, South Korea to North America, that has been my biggest challenge without any shadow of a doubt. Getting across the Atlantic from sort of the east coast of the States, from possibly New York back to the UK, that's a doddle. There's
Right.
all sorts of people you can use to do that. So I'm not anticipating any problems there. So visas, I only need one visa. I'm going through Russia.
Okay.
And last Friday there, I was in at the visa application centre in Edinburgh,
Right.
and it went really well. Good people, efficient. They know what they want. So they told me at that point. They told me at that meeting when I could expect my passport back with the visa. So
All right. Okay.
touch touch wood.
Touch wood.
That
Hairy
should
wood.
go straight forward.
Excellent. Right. Where are we now? What bike will you be doing it on?
Yeah, I'll be using my little KTM 390 Adventure that you'll have seen on the channel.
Yep.
I bought it in 2022 specifically for the purpose of doing a round the world trip.
Okay.
Uh, I was originally planning on doing the trip 2029 when I can access my pension pot.
Yeah.
So I bought the bike in 2022 because I wanted another bike.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I could spend some time getting it ready and fitting all the nice to haves and getting my skill base on the, my experience base on the bike,
Yeah,
get
getting
to
used to
get
it.
to know the bike well before I have to embark on such a big journey on it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. How are you preparing your motorbike for such a long journey?
so I've got it all set up with crash bars and sump guards and all the accessories that I would want on the bike for off road riding. I've got knobbly tyres and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But so the bike's pretty much proven. I've used it for sort of 3,000 mile tours of Europe,
Okay.
and I've done a decent amount of off road riding on it this year. So the bike's pretty much ready. So all I've got to do now is service it. So it's got 7,000 miles on the clock just now,
Okay.
and it's going to want a valve inspection at 10,000. So I'm just going to do that just now so that I can push
Yeah, yeah.
the next inspection out to 17,000 miles. And then just the basics: brake pads, oil and filters, chain and sprocket kit.
Right.
I've recently put a video up recently about installing hard panniers.
Yep, seen it. Yep.
So since then, I've also fitted two tool tubes, two hard tool tubes,
Yep. Hmm.
and two Givy 2.5 litre fuel tanks.
Okay.
And I've tried to keep the weight on these as forward and as low as possible.
Yeah.
So I've got them mounted right up on the front of the bike, and that seems to be working really well. So
Good. Good. And what about tires? Are you just going to pick tires up as you travel?
yeah, so tires, oil, coolant, you can get that sort of stuff anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm awfully slow with the questions today. Hold on.
Oh no, you're all right. You're all right.
So, can you?
Actually, on that previous question, I'm also taking with me a whole load of spares.
Uh huh.
So I've been sniping on eBay and picking up small critical spares that I wouldn't necessarily be able to get quickly
Yeah.
if I have problems on the road. So it's all small stuff. So it's not going to affect my luggage or anything like that. So I've got things like ignition coils, clutch packs, fuel pump, water pump kit,
Right.
spark plugs,
Yeah.
the shim kit for doing the valves.
Right.
So I've got all that sort of stuff so that it's immediately available to me when I'm on the road. Trying
Yeah.
to get a hold of that stuff on the road is going to be difficult, but like you were saying there, tires, oil, coolant, you can get anywhere,
Yeah.
you know.
That anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Can you talk us through your route? So I will share your map here, and then
Yeah,
you can control it and show us your route. I'll just maximise the size of this. All yours, mate.
great stuff. What you're seeing on the screen just now is the total route.
Yep.
So just zooming into it, I'll be heading from Glasgow down to Portsmouth and then getting a ferry across to Santander.
Yep.
And then I'm just basically heading east through Europe. So I'll aim for Barcelona just because it's towards the east of Spain. It gets me up towards France.
Okay.
Head through the coastline of France, across Italy, and then down through Slovenia, Croatia, up through Bosnia, into
Yep.
Serbia, down into Bulgaria, and then the fun starts to begin because up to that point, you can do any of that with 3 weeks holiday, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yep.
But Turkey is where things start getting interesting because there's such a. I've wanted to ride in Turkey for years. There's such amazing, and again, as Attributes has demonstrated recently, it's just such an amazing place to ride.
I was
So
actually surprised how green some areas of Turkey were.
mm,
Aye, it was
I think it
quite.
would depend at the time of year, you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it could be very arid,
yeah, yeah.
but it's that's the plan up to that point. So the actual specific route, like through the individual countries, not set in stone. If I happen to see something, you know, if I happen to see something that takes me off this route and it's super interesting,
Uh huh.
then I'm happy to deviate. Like, you know, I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
tying myself 100% to the route.
yep,
So up through Turkey to Georgia,
yep.
uh, I believe you need to be super careful about this area. This I think you call it South Ossetia.
Okay.
If you go through this area accidentally, you then can't get back into Georgia, and you can't cross borders and such like. So
All
I'll
right.
need to be
So
I'll need to be super careful about this area here.
does that mean
And
you need
then
to
up,
stay on main roads or at that point or?
yeah. I think the plan that what it looks like once I get across the border, uh, I'll head for Tbilisi
Yeah.
and go north from Tbilisi. It seems to be the way to do it.
Okay.
And then in through Russia. Uh, a very small section of Russia. That's only about 1,500, kilometres.
Right. You're just kind of skimming it there, aren't you? Sort of
You're just
thing.
you're just you're just cutting through essentially, yeah,
Okay.
to get into Kazakhstan.
Okay.
So the, the 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 point of interest for me is a way down here. This is the Pamir Highway
Right.
in Tajikistan. It kind of sits right on the border of Afghanistan.
All right. Okay.
So down through Kazakhstan into Uzbekistan and into Tajikistan, and that gets me onto the Pamir Highway.
Okay.
Then from there up through Kyrgyzstan, I'm sure there's a big city up here called Osh. Yeah, there we go. That's going to be one of my points for doing a service.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Because I'll be able to get tires and chains and all that sort of stuff there.
Yep.
Certainly, if I can't get them there, I can get equipment shipped to there,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
and then back up to the Russian border. So, in an ideal world, of course, you'd want to go through China and keep going east, but
Yeah.
you can't take your own motorcycle into China unsupervised. If you want to go in through China, you need to be escorted on a tour.
All right. Okay.
It's very expensive, and it's not really my cup of tea. You're tied to a group, you're tied to an agenda, and
Yeah.
that's not really me.
You
So
kind of go wherever you like then at that point.
yeah, so this little section here again, it's about 1,500, 2,000. I think it's only about 1,500 kilometres
Okay.
in through Russia again here, and to get into Mongolia. And Mongolia just looks out of this. It looks otherworldly, you know. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's another high point for me. And then once I'm through Mongolia, back into Russia, this is just a lovely bit of road here. I think this is about 4,000 kilometres
Right. Okay.
from Ulan Ude round to Vladivostok,
Yep.
which is the entry exit point for most commercial activity at this end of Russia.
Okay. Right.
And there's lots of resources in Vladivostok. There's lots of agents, and well, sorry, I say lots of. There's one guy in particular who's highly recommended and has been very helpful so far. So um, he's a guy who gets you in and out. of the country.
Okay, I think that's where Lavi and Ollie went as well, wasn't it? That was their port
Yeah,
as well.
the route that I'm taking is kind of the reverse of what they done,
Right, okay,
or rather, the route that they took back from Russia.
right,
I'm going in the opposite direction.
yeah,
They
okay,
didn't go down through the Pamir Highway. They kind of went through Kyrgyzstan. They weren't able to go through Uzbekistan because they were carrying drones.
ah, right, okay,
You're not allowed to take drones into Uzbekistan. So
right,
they had to ride round the outside of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan,
mm-hmm.
and then they went from I think they went from here. They shipped the bike across to Azerbaijan, and
Ah, right, okay,
they flew into Azerbaijan because you're not allowed to go in by sea
right,
as a
okay,
person. You can send freight, but you can't go in yourself. So,
right,
it's kind of the reverse route that they took
yeah, yeah,
on that leg, and it's the same guy that they used,
right,
and
okay,
a lot of travellers used
yeah,
to get out of Vladivostok.
okay,
So
okay,
from Vladivostok, just like Lavi and Ollie, you take the Eastern Dream ferry to Donghae on South Korea,
okay,
and then it would be rude not to have a wee tour of South Korea.
oh, definitely,
Get yourself up to Seoul
yep,
and get yourself some air freight over to North America.
okay,
Now, the way things are panning out with my air freight, I was I was originally aiming for Vancouver,
right,
which was the same connection that Lavi and Ollie used.
okay,
Um, However, as recently as this morning, I've determined that it won't cost any more to go to LA.
right, okay,
Now, by this stage, I'm going to be starting to run out of funds,
right,
or by this stage, I'm going to have to be being very careful with money.
yeah, you're right,
And
okay,
and from Vancouver down to Las Vegas, that's a good 2,500 kilometers. It's a good 6 7 days accommodation in
yeah,
America. It's an expensive place to live, so I'm going to aim for LA, and then the plan in America. I want to go and see like Las Vegas, and
yeah, yeah,
I want to go see Death Valley and the Grand Canyon and all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
I'd like to ride some of the old Route 66 that still remains,
oh,
like
yeah,
Dave from Wheelie TV done in
he
the
did,
opposite
yep,
direction.
yeah, that's right,
Also, it would tie it in with some of the routes from the film Easy Rider,
ah, right,
where
okay, yep,
where the road from the road from Las Vegas out to New Orleans.
right, okay,
And then I've got attraction in Birmingham, Alabama that I want to go and see. I'll keep that one for the next question actually.
right, okay,
So and then from Birmingham, Alabama, I've got a couple of YouTubers that I want to drop in on.
right,
So up round about Tennessee area, there's a guy. I don't know if you ever seen Vice Grip Garage or
eh,
Vice Grip Garage as they call it.
nope, not seen
Uh,
him,
he's got a museum in Tennessee,
right,
so he's actually in the process of building it just now.
okay,
So I want to drop in on that. I've also got a guy that I follow up in Utah that if I can make it happen, I'd like to drop in on as well.
yeah, okay,
The Fab Rats, it's a brilliant channel.
right,
And then from Alabama up to New York, if I can divert through Indiana and Ohio, I
uh-huh,
will, because you can ride a motorcycle in those states without a helmet.
right, okay,
And there
just,
would be
just,
nothing cooler than riding down
just
the
to see what it
freeway in the
feels like,
states with no helmet on. That just tickles me, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And then from I'm saying New York, it might be New Jersey. Get the bike. Arrangements at the moment is I'll get shared container space on a
Okay.
shipping container, and I'll get the bike. The bike will probably end up down at Southampton or London area somewhere,
Yeah.
and then I'll travel down, collect the bike, and bring it back up.
So, do you know what distance it is in total?
It's about 18,000 miles.
It's a lot of miles, isn't it?
Aye, 18. So I've done, to get my Russian visa, I had to demonstrate where I was going, the route I was taking, the things I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I had to, and when I wanted to enter the country and when I wanted to exit the country.
Right.
So I had to do a considerable amount of planning, and I've got a spreadsheet
Oh, I bet
that
you.
actually I used to construct this map here.
I bet you it's a lot of planning.
Aye, and it's like picking a town 200 kilometres away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm targeting kind of 300 kilometres a day,
Right.
which is not unrealistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would tie in with, I would ride 200 or 300 miles a day
Yeah.
without thinking about it. So
Yeah.
200 or 300 kilometres doesn't
That's not
cause
too
me
bad.
any concern. You know?
Next question. Are there any particular countries or regions you're nervous about due to political instability or safety concerns?
I'm not nervous in the slightest about any of it.
Okay.
Uh, People have said to me, "Oh, not a bit dodgy going through Russia," as a Westerner. But I've been keeping a really, really close eye on YouTubers who have done just that
Right.
recently, and I've seen nothing but positives.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually said that to you. Oh, do you want to go through Russia? But thinking back to even the Lavi and Ollie, everybody
Yeah,
was fine. They were all fine.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
Well, they had concerns about it
Yeah,
initially when they were on the ferry from South Korea to Vladivostok. But if you go to these places with an open mind and you engage with the administration, you engage with the people, and you get a positive result.
yeah,
The,
yeah,
the, you of course hear horror stories,
yeah,
and the only people that I've seen evidence of having problems are people who have brought those problems on themselves.
yeah, yeah,
People who have been undiplomatic
yeah, yeah.
and they air their political grievances online and all that sort of stuff.
Nah,
But I think the common man, the sensible person,
yeah.
won't have any problems.
I mean, look at Itchy Boots just now. She's going through Iraq and Iran.
Yeah,
Everybody's
absolutely.
nice. There's no issues there. You know.
I,
And
I I think I think she benefits from being a solo female traveller,
yeah, aye,
particularly through Kurdistan.
yeah,
She's getting looked after by
yeah,
the male
yeah. That's true.
fraternity, if you like.
That's
You
true.
know,
Yep,
uh,
definitely.
however, if you go to these places and you're respectful,
Yeah,
you should only see positives.
yeah, definitely, mate.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
The other thing is worth saying on that point is, if you're going to do, or if you're going to try and do a round the world trip, you're going to you're going to meet sensitive areas in whatever route you take.
Yeah,
So the only other overland route that I could take would be down through Iran,
yeah,
and that's arguably more difficult for a British person just now than
yeah,
going through Russia.
yeah,
You know, uh,
definitely.
once you get through Iran, you've got eastern Pakistan, Balochistan, I think they call it, and you have to be escorted through
Yeah,
that region,
yep,
and then you'll only get as far as Myanmar before you need to start looking at air freight again.
yeah,
So there's no way of doing a round the world trip without going into what might be considered sensitive areas.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we kind of covered this one. Have you mapped out any must-see landmarks or experiences along the way?
I was battering through the last question there, and I realised that I was encroaching on this question. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. We'll just skip it then. We've done that there,
Aye,
right?
well, the one that I kept back in the States, in Birmingham, Alabama, there's the Barber Motorsport Museum,
Okay,
which is the largest motorcycle museum in the world.
right,
They've got 1,800 motorcycles, and they've got the largest collection of Lotus cars.
right, okay.
It's phenomenal. Have a wee search for it on Google. It's unbelievable. They've got their own private racetrack as well.
All right,
So
okay.
it's when I was first thinking about round the world trips like 10 years plus,
Yeah,
it was always on my radar. That's a place I'd like to see,
yeah,
and it was always a one of these days type place. So
good.
uh,
Yeah.
that's a prominent landmark that
You'll
I'm aiming
finally get
for.
to see it then.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your plans for accommodation?
Well, through Europe, I'm aiming to camp as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
As Ian, the One Man One Bike
Yep,
channel, has shown us, you can live remarkably cheaply
yeah,
through Europe if you're prepared to camp and wild camp.
yeah,
So I'll try and camp through Europe as much as I can. Once you the section through Georgia and as I first enter Russia, I'm kind of expecting that to be quite cold.
yeah,
I'm
okay,
still that'll be around about March, so I'm still expecting that to be quite cold and lying snow and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
I'll find accommodation. But once you start getting into Russia and Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, you can pick up accommodation for as little as $15-20 a day,
yeah, okay, yeah,
or a night rather.
yeah,
So at that sort, I'm kind of working on a daily budget of about $35 a day.
right,
Sorry,
okay,
no, £35 a day.
yeah,
Um, but when you're in these areas, you tend to refer to things as dollars. So I'm working on a budget of about £35 a day for day to day
yeah,
expenses. Um, so I want to make that go as far as I possibly can.
yeah, I bet you do.
Every night that I camp uh, saves me money further down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. What we on? What's the biggest fear or concern you have about undertaking a trip like this?
The only concern that I've got is me personally falling ill.
Right, yeah, mm-hmm.
I'm a terrible patient. I'm a terrible sick person, and I'm really glad that over the Christmas New Year period I had a really bad bout of the flu.
Right,
So I can be reasonably confident that I'm not going to get the flu again
yeah, you've done
over
it now.
o-
Yeah.
over the next 6 months. So yeah, that's really my only concern.
Did you have to get any special vaccinations or anything? I know that's not a question, but well, it is a
I
question.
I oh so last Thursday there,
Mm,
I got 3 injections. I got rabies, diphtheria, cholera,
right.
and then this Thursday, I've got another three. I've got my second rabies, with tick-borne encephalitis, and then there's a Japanese version of that as well. And then the 30th of January. I've got another three to get, so I'll be about £600 in vaccinations.
Oof. That's a lot of vaccinations. You'll be glowing.
Aye.
Eh, How long do you think it will take you?
So roughly 6 months. I'm I've run my numbers based on 200 days,
Right.
and I reckon I'm going to do it. My schedule allows me to do it in 180 days, and
Okay.
there's plenty of slack in my schedule. I've got about 8 weeks slack in my schedule,
Right.
so I reckon about 180 days. It's going to be like 6 months.
All right. Okay. That's faster than I thought it would be.
I want
I
to get
think
back and find a
Lab.
job.
Oh well. Labby and Ollie. It took them what, a year and a half or something, but they
Oh,
were
aye,
doing.
aye, they were like 500 days or something like
They
that.
were doing silly wee miles a day, weren't they?
Yeah, they were also stopping at places for a prolonged period of time. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Lavi and Ollie's. I've used their, well, I'm actually a channel member sort of thing.
Right.
I joined their channel, and but I've mined their YouTube channel for a lot of intelligence
Yeah.
for setting this trip up. It's been a huge help.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. What do you think will be the hardest part of the journey, physically or mentally?
It'll be a combination of both. So when I'm cold and I'm miserable, I'm cold, wet, and miserable, and everything's going against me. That's
Yeah.
obviously going to have a knock on my mental health. But you know what? I just need to give myself a shake and tell myself how fortunate I am to be able to do this. Like, you know,
I've just thought of another question. Are you going to stay mostly to tarmac when it's available, or are you doing an itchy boots up through the mountains? Or
I'll have hard luggage. So I can't go crazy off road because when you've got
yeah,
hard luggage, if you stick your leg out to get round a corner sort of thing, there's
yeah,
a huge chance of running over your own leg,
yeah,
and it's a natural reaction to do that when you're riding off road. So
yeah,
I'll be doing some off road, but nothing more strenuous than sort of gravel tracks. Like
yeah,
The Pamir Highway is all kind of gravel.
yeah,
It's not like mud.
yeah.
Mud is my limit, as you've seen in one of my recent videos.
That's right.
Um,
That was a
and
job and a half getting the bike out of that.
aye. I don't want to be doing that when the bike's fully loaded. You know.
No, definitely not.
Um, another challenge of the trip, or something that's going to be quite hard for me, is like cultural awareness and cultural differences.
Yeah,
So as I start to hit Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan in particular, it's going to be Ramadan.
yeah,
So I need to be aware that people are fasting and the impact that religious festival will have on day to day life.
right.
You know, whether or not petrol stations will be open, and
Yeah, hmm,
I'm not 100% certain on the etiquette of that, and it's something I'm going to have to educate myself on very, very quickly.
yeah.
But I'm sure I'll be my usual diplomatic self. You know.
Will you be documenting this trip through YouTube as you're doing it?
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. So uh, I hit 1,000 subscribers like last December 2023,
Yeah.
and 4,000 watch hours. So I've been monetized since December 2023,
Okay.
but I only got my first paycheck out of YouTube December 2024
All right.
for
Okay.
the grand sum of £60 for a year's effort. So yeah, it would be nice. I've only got myself to blame for the low earnings because I don't post regularly.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
up to this point, I kind of post when I've got something to say.
Yeah.
And this trip's given me something to say. So
Yeah.
my plan is that I'll ride and camp for 3 days.
Okay.
and then I'll seek the cheapest possible accommodation I can find for 2 nights.
Yep.
That'll give me a night to recover.
Mm-hmm.
It will give me a full editing day
Yep.
and another night to recover before I go back on the road and do the same thing again for 3 days.
Yeah. Yep.
So what I'm planning on doing whilst I'm on the road is publishing a short, rough edit of one of the preceding 3 days.
Yep.
I'm going to call that my shortcut around the world,
Okay. Right.
right? And the reason I'm doing that is I know 100% fact that I won't be able to create content that records every single day
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
Anybody who's done it before, Mark Travels, Lavi and Ollie, Itchy Boots, anybody who's attempted it have found themselves 3 months
Yeah.
out of sync with their
Yeah.
actual journey.
Yep.
And I think it would break me to be in Tajikistan and to be editing content from Turkey.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That would break me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want the content that I'm publishing to be immediate, to be real time.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to do a shortcut of one of the preceding 3 days, and I'll string that along that it's consecutive,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then when I get back, my intent is to do a meatier edit, a better edit
Yeah. Yep.
on the fresh new content that I haven't used.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll be back to work by that point. So I'll only be aiming to be publishing once a week.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So that content's likely to last me for perhaps a perhaps a year.
A year. Yeah. Yeah.
It could give me a year's worth of round the world travelling content, and it won't be a rehash of my earlier stuff.
No, it'll be separate from that. Yep.
It'll be separate, new, fresh content to
Yep.
share with people. I don't like when, or I tend not to watch a content creator's revisit where they take all the stuff that they've already published and put it into one
Yeah. Like a
hour long episode, or
yeah. Like a
2 hour long episode.
like a greatest hits type thing, sort of.
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But if it was fresh, unseen content,
Yep.
I'd be in there. That'd be right on my street. So
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing I like watching. So I kind of think that there'll be other people out there that like to watch that sort of stuff. So
Yeah. Definitely. I'm actually looking forward to you doing it.
well,
So I can watch
I'm
it.
looking forward. I'm looking forward even to the editing time because uh, I, uh, I quite enjoy the practice of doing the edit,
Yeah. Yep.
building a story, and I've put a lot of work into. I've kind of treated YouTube like an English degree,
Yep.
and I've watched thousands of hours of YouTube analysing what they're actually doing and what they're delivering and
Yeah.
building a structure that is repeatable because I've got to be able to capture the content,
Yeah.
create the
Yeah.
content. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of that. And like I say, I started off by telling you that I've received my first £60 paycheck from YouTube.
Loaded.
Hopefully, with like, I'm kind of expecting to be able to publish 2 episodes. Sorry, 3 episodes every 2 weeks.
Yep.
So I'm kind of hoping that with regular publishing, I'll catch the algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get more subs. I'll get the views, and hopefully it might put a couple of pound in a few pennies in the coffers.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Right. So that is you answered all questions.
Great stuff. That was That was painless. Thanks very much for walking me walking me through it and holding my hand.
No, no problem, mate. I wish you the very best on your trip, and I am looking forward to any video content you put on.
Great
And
stuff. Thank you very much.
all that's left to say is thank you very much for coming on. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you when you get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks very much, mate.
Right. Cheers. Thanks very
Cheers.
much. Bye bye.